This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Hello, my name is Harrington Watko. Welcome to our program. I'd like to start the show by borrowing a statement from, what's his name? Charles, Prince Charles. When it comes to climate change and we don't do anything about it, by the time we realize, assume that it is true, it would have already been too late. Now, what are the meanings of statements or words like sustainable? What are all these things? Well, what are all the words that the Paris Accord has come up with, which all originate some 30 years back to the Kyoto Principle? It seems that climate change has come into the foray once again when President Trump, the leader of the Western world, when he pulled America out of the Paris Accord. Now, there are many reasons why the leaders today do exactly what they do. It's progress versus the environment versus modernization versus everything. I guess the way we can describe it is it's like a pizza that you have to slice and you run out of slices and you have too many priorities and you gotta know what you gotta do. You might make the room very hot with your oven because you're trying to cook the pizza, but meantime you're making it too hot for you to even stand there to be able to cook that pizza, so to speak. These issues are not easy to understand or even explain, and I'm not sure that I even have a bit of expertise even to really talk about the topic. But because there's popular demand for this show to talk about real issues other than the politics that we have, I've decided to bring this up. Sadly, our world leaders today are left wanting with all the desires or all the actions they've been put into play. Sad that we have some leaders that seem to not enjoy the popular opinion or what you say, the general opinion as is, like climate change. Let's not burn our forests. Let's not build too much of this. Let's stop the mining, etc., etc. Tonight, we're going to talk about exactly that, climate change, what's happening, and how to understand this. With us, we have Edgar Guevara. I had him as a guest some 5-6 years ago. He's a consultant for the environment, for sustainable environment. He has lived his life accordingly to the beliefs and what he reads and understands about climate change. Hi, Edgar. Thank you for being on the show again.
Hi, Harry. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, relevant na naman tong climate change natin. You're forever putting that nail in my head ever since I've known you. And you've lived a life. You've left the life of the executive, the tie, and my look basically with a monkey suit. And you've turned around and you've become a total environmentalist. Why don't you bring us up to date on exactly where climate change is and where we stand today as a whole? To better yet explain to us how you identify or convey the concept of climate change.
Okay, climate change kasi is a very complex and largely misunderstood subject.
Oh, ako nalilito ako.
Many people don't even want to talk about it. So let's clear that up. What do we know about climate change in general? Because maraming version siya eh. It's like the story of 12 blind men touching an elephant.
Oh.
Each guy touched the elephant yung nasa harapan, the elephant looks like a long nose and a tusk.
Yeah.
Yung nasa gilid, he has a large
And in the
round
rear,
thing.
God, this is a fat woman.
Yeah, everybody sees a version of climate change, but I realized ang daming kulang. There's so much very vital information and vital factor that has not been built in. And then they suddenly make a prediction that the climate change will hit only by 2050. Ang daming kulang. So let's first talk about climate change as per se, as we know. Actually, climate change is actually global warming. The Earth temperature is rising, kaya galang ginawang climate change because sa ibang
Nag-iiba ang
lugar,
klima.
hindi
Nag-iiba ang
naman
klima.
umiinit, lumalamig eh.
Oh, baliktad nga. Umiiba
So,
lang.
yeah, of course, iba-ibang latitude tayo. So, ginawa na nilang climate change. Kasi may mga pumasok na pilosopo, may mga pumasok na mga deniers, etc. So, ginawa nilang climate change. But actually, we're talking about temperature. So, the rising temperature, ang pinaka-main role na laging binabanggit ay carbon dioxide, greenhouse gases, ang methane, at saka ang nitrous oxide, and little, with a minimal effect yung mga smaller portions ng gases. But main entrada niyan is carbon dioxide. Because mainly from coal mining, isang malakas ng nag-release ang coal mining. Because nauna yun sa oil. Nauna yun, ay grabe ang coal. Kasi before even the oil started,
Kuryente
yung
coal.
ating steam engine, ng ating, coil, uling talaga. And direct yun from the earth, then diretso sa atmosphere, no?
Kaya itim ang usok.
Yes, very bad. Ang taas ng carbon content nun. And then dumating again the oil, the black gold, they call it, and start to power everything. And then, it's not even enough, may pinasok pang isa na sinabi nilang it's clean, it's efficient, it's safe, the nuclear power. So these three energy source, they thought would be the only one that could power us and make our life comfortable, is now creating the problem. So, so when we talk about climate change, they hardly mention about methane, mostly CO2. But
Methane is like the exhaust, the mga baka.
yung biogas,
Biogas.
methane, any living organism, biodegradables, will emit methane gas, which is CH4, no? Carbon, hydrogen, and actually, that could replace methane. You use it for cooking. You can use it to power. It's an energy itself. Ang understated methane gas, because of the melting of the ice in Arctic area, especially in Siberia, you know that yung permafrost, it's tinatakpan ng snow. Mga 4 meters of snow. So hindi siya, nakaseal siya. But with the moment the temperature rises, it starts to melt down, right? So as you can see, we have now an image of how the north and the south is moving from the high spring temperature. And then suddenly this methane gas start to come out from the earth.
Ayun, nare-release.
My God, it's gigatons. So we call it the methane bomb. Sa Siberia alone, it's enough to fill up the atmosphere.
Bomb as in combustible.
It's combustible, but when I say bomb, because it's so big, you know that methane deposit alone in the permafrost will be enough to power the whole Europe and America. And they're not using it. They still keep on fracking and oil rigging somewhere. Hindi nila ginagamit yun. Kasi the moment you burn methane gas, hindi na siya pollutant. So sana dun mag-focus yung effort ng ating mga oil companies.
I've never read anything about the processing of methane until today.
Yeah, well, yun na
Sadly.
Yun na nga eh. Yun nga yung ating, what we know about climate change and what we don't know about climate is which we're going to talk about. So what they know is mostly carbon dioxide and parang ang sama-sama ng carbon dioxide. Actually, carbon dioxide is a very important gas for the plants, for the crustaceans, for the living organism.
May use pa rin yan.
Mahalaga. You know, diamond is carbon. The hardest material in the world is carbon. Maraming gamit ang carbon. Pero, the moment you send it up on the atmosphere, actually troposphere, that's 5 to 12 kilometers, mayroon siyang property na it will keep the heat and will stay there for 100 years.
Okay.
Yun ang problema sa carbon dioxide. Hindi kagaya ng methane, mas shorter ang lifespan niya. Kasi nadidissolve naman siya sa colder temperature. Eh, yung trace gases, hindi naman masyadong binabanggit yun. But the worst part now is, dahil nga ang focus ng climate change, ang biniblame nila is human activities, mainly from the oil and the coal.
Automation,
Yes.
combustion engine,
Yes, all of that.
electricity.
Electricity, gumawa silang ng bago ngayon na ibiblame nila. Dati nga yung fart of the cow eh. Well, I'll talk to you about the farting of the cow later. But yung bago nilang biniblame ngayon, yung water vapor.
Oh, okay, bago yan.
Ito, actually hindi siya bago. 9 years na. Pero ngayon, sinishift nila yung consciousness from the carbon to water vapor. Kasi daw, water vapor, in Manila, during the cloudy night, yung heat from Manila goes up, and then mabanas siya, di ba? And it's being blocked by the clouds for several hours lang. No? And it's called greenhouse gas.
All right.
And water vapor being the biggest percentage on the greenhouse gas, kasalanan daw ng nature ang ating climate change. That means that will make it's 97%. That will make oil and coal only 2%, 3%.
So in other words,
hindi nila
it's okay.
kasalanan.
It's okay to utilize all of that.
Hindi, they can continue with their oil and digging everything. It's the fault of the water vapor, di ba?
Okay.
So why would you put the blame to nature? Unless you are, deviating the fault. No? So ngayon, I made a research on water vapor. If you remember, grade 5 tayo, ang mahirap kasi sa water vapor, when you talk about scientists, they cannot pin it down. Scientists want it to be uncontrolled environment in the laboratory. Meron siyang tatlong state. Liquid, solid, gas, di ba? Hindi nila ma-pin down. At meron pa siyang special characteristic. Water has a memory. Example, hawak ko yung water na galing sa polluted river at dinala ko sa'yo. Yung energy ko, kinukuha ng water. Kung alam ba ako peaceful, loving, happy-go-lucky, ibang magiging structure niya sa microscope. Pero pag isa, may problema sa buhay, o gusto na mag-suicide, galit siya. Pag tinignan mo, the same water will have a different structure. So it's saying, si Masao Emoto, saying that water has a memory and it takes the property of the emotion of the people close to it.
Gee, I didn't even know that.
Yes, that's Masao Emoto. That's why nauso nga yung mga pendant na may mga quantum healing.
Okay.
Because water is a power. And then meron pa isang quality ang water because it's HHO, 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. You can replace gasoline with that one. Fuel. You can
But
run
they haven't
cars.
come up with the science. They say they do, and in fact, they tried to appropriate it towards Filipino. But I'm not. I'm a bit skeptic about that.
Well, I'm telling you, Harry, my car runs on water.
Your car runs on water.
For 4 years na. So,
Okay.
I will confirm you that one.
Sige.
Alam mo kasi, ang water, the moment you split hydrogen from oxygen, it's combustible gas, no? Hydrogen, make bombs out of it. Oxygen is also explosive. And tinuro sa atin nung grade 5, kinopya lang natin sa blackboard. If you remember, copy the blackboard, electrolysis, negative, positive, anode, cathode, and that's it. Hindi
I
na
must have
pinalawag
been in
ng
the
teacher.
back smoking. But go ahead.
Yeah, that was the electrolysis thing, which Daniel Dingle has been talking about.
Yeah, bingo.
Of course, it's a threat to major industries. Kaya, inichipuera, hanggang nakopya ng BMW, ng Nissan, ng Volvo. They're using it now, and it will be the future car. It's already there. It could, I think, the U.S. Navy is powering their ship now, and their jets. If you update yourself on what's happening with hydrogen, another free energy we can source from the seawater or any tap water.
Okay.
So, not to say that marami namang other renewable alternative na hindi kailangang mapollute ang ating environment. But because it's mainly for the profit of the very few, the whole world has to suffer.
So we're talking about the conflict of degradation of Mother Earth, and we're taking things out from the Earth, and we're not using them properly, and we're emitting it uselessly,
Yeah.
rather than taking charge and making use of what we have to turn it into the energy that we require. But then you have the problem of civilization progress, automation, vis-a-vis environment, protecting the environment, and holding progress.
Well, when we talk about progress, alam mo, noong 19th century, okay lang yun, nag-start tayo with gasoline and coal. Pero we have to innovate, we have to move, we have to shift, di ba? The climate change story is, panahon pa yata ni Lincoln yan or Kennedy, they already talk about because of this pollution. And yet nothing has been done. And we are na tayong COP23 na tayo ngayon. Everybody just talk and talk and talk. And yung Paris Agreement, they signed finally. But it doesn't mean that they sign, they're gonna stop.
Yeah, especially China, who likes to sign and shake hands, but do
So,
otherwise.
the thing-
Wala tayong magagawa eh.
Yun na nga ang problema eh. Alam mo, Harry, even tomorrow or even yesterday, we all shift to solar panels.
Yes.
What about the CO2 up in the sky? Already, ang limit nga natin is 350 parts per million lang. Now we are 412
And climbing.
and climbing. Because of the fire in Indonesia, dalawang year,
Yes, yes.
lalong tumaas.
The forest fire that
Yeah,
went
so what
on
are you gonna
for
do
a year.
with those 400
gases, yes.
gases of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? How can you absorb them? Yun na nga. So we only focus on the carbon dioxide, but what we don't know, this water vapor is actually a short-term greenhouse gas, but it's actually a coolant. When your car is nag-overheat, anong nilalagay mo sa
Coolant,
radiator?
para lumamig. Oh,
Yeah, it's
to
a coolant.
control it. Yeah, to
Diba?
control
Water
it.
is a
yeah.
coolant. All right. So, the life cycle of water vapor is 7 hours and 7 days, minsan 10 days. It's a very short cycle. So, in that period, my God, it's going to cool down the surface. It has a vertical cooling effect. And the clouds from water vapor into clouds, it blocks the sun and it absorbs carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
So people in government have been inept and left wanting for not addressing nature issues
Yes,
and the climate change.
exactly.
And the manufacturing, the big sector, big industry business has been remiss in their moral obligations towards the community for the future, so to speak. We're going to have to take a short break, Edgar. When we come back, we will double up with some photos that Edgar has brought here. And we've already lined it up. We'll put more of it as he will explain the relevance of the photos he's chosen to share with you, as well as not just freaking you out with what's going on in this world, but providing solutions. We hope our scientists, government leaders, will be able to tame the aggression of our business leaders who like to promote profit over degradation of the environment and the people itself. Stay with us, we'll be right back.